What's up, YouTube world? It's your boy Jerome. I'm here today with a review for Married to Medicine. This is season 6, episode 7, and it's titled Out of Commission. Now, the reason why this video is late is because I actually was trying to sit here and watch the Charmed reboot, fell asleep on that shit, and now I'm just waking up. And then I just sat here and I watched What Happens Live, who's Andy's guest tonight was Quad and Tamar Braxton, of all people, the same person. So, and actually, you know what, we're gonna start with, when I end this, I'm gonna start with Quad. So basically, like I said, Quad was on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen, and you know, I think a viewer asked her a question. I don't forget what the question was, but you know, it was something, you know, she was talking about she's ready for this season's reunion because there's a lot of people that she want to go after. And, you know, Tamar was like, well, who do you want to go after? She didn't name Mariah because she said there's a few people that she want to go after. But she's talking about Mariah because I think Mariah must have did an Instagram live or something, or a Facebook live, whatever live Mariah does. Mariah must have did that and said that, you know, season 2, you know, Dr. Greg, Quad didn't also divorce Dr. Gregory. She divorced her and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Quad is in her feelings about that. And then, you know, Quad was talking about that interview that Dr. Gregory did about a month or two ago with, you know, in Atlanta. And, you know, she's talking about Dr. Gregory was lying about that, talking about, you know, that she was very much in their bed and in their room, season 2 and all that kind of stuff. And here's my thing with Quad, you know, I feel like it's bullshit because, you know, anybody would, hell, even Stephen Wonder and Ray Charles can clearly tell and see that you were not 100% into Dr. G as much as Dr. G probably was into you. Like, I can clearly believe Dr. G when he says that you weren't sleeping with him and all that kind of stuff. Talking about she's in her 30s. What the fuck does that mean that you're in your 30s? Just because you're in your 30s don't mean nothing. Don't mean that you're not sexually attracted to this man. Like, shit. You can be in your 40s and 50s and still not be sexually attracted to the nigga and don't have sex with him. Like, your age ain't got nothing to do with you being sexually attracted to somebody. Like, I don't know why she don't get that. You weren't physically into him, sexually into him, or no kind of, in any kind of way into Dr. Gregory, but you want to sit here and talk about, I'm a woman in my 30s. So fucking what, Quad? Like, it don't make any sense. Just because you in your 30s does not mean that you were not sexually attracted to that man. Like, just say, I just want her to say, I didn't marry him for love. I didn't marry him for, you know, physical stuff or anything. Just say I married him for money or whatever you married him for. I'm not saying that you married him for money, but just say whatever you married him for, it wasn't love. It wasn't whatever the hell it wasn't, because you did not love him. Like, you can't make me believe just because y'all were together for 10 years or whatever, you can't really sit here and make me believe that shit. Like, bye, Quad. All right, so since I was just talking about Quad, I'm gonna actually start this review up with Quad. So, you know, Quad, her mom and her aunt are in Atlanta, and, you know, they are having lunch and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, she's telling them how everything is going for her, how she's filed for divorce, and, you know, she's packed her stuff up and she's moving to her own place, which I'm like, cool, whatever, who gives a shit? Like, you did not want to be with him. And, like, literally, you weren't even sleeping. I think, you know, y'all like two strangers in the night. So, you know, it's okay to get out and get your own place if you don't feel like, you know, things are going to go, you know, smooth and all that kind of stuff. And I don't think that Quad ever really wanted to try with Dr. Wick. I think that, you know, this whole cheating thing was a way for Quad to get out of this marriage, if you want me to be honest with you. I think that's all it was. And, you know, her honest about how she wants this to be hope that this can be a peaceful divorce for Quad and all that kind of stuff. It's not going to be peaceful. Not when you got Quad on Sister Circle Live, you know, addressing Dr. Gregory. And I think that was the biggest thing. You know, she wants to sit here and place blame on Dr. Gregory for doing the interview, but clearly you started it by being on Sister Circle Live and making those comments that you made on Sister Circle Live. You are the one who initiated this whole thing and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, she's talking about their communication at this point. She said at that point, they were just only talking to each other via text, and that she didn't feel like they should talk to each other, that the only way they should communicate with each other would be through the lawyers, which she said on Watch What Happens Live. That's the only way they talk to each other is via text, you know, via the lawyers and all that kind of stuff. And then, you know, she was talking about the girls and all that kind of stuff, how she wants the girls to come from a supportive place, and so that way she can feel like she can open up to them. And then also on Watch What Happens Live, somebody asked the question of, you know, because I think all the girls have said that she feels with what they feel like with the marriage, with the Sister Circle Live girls, that they won't call her out on her bullshit. And I've said that plenty of times. I do not believe I believe that the reason why Quad has not said anything to the Marriage and Medicine girls is because she has a deeper relationship with those girls as opposed to the Sister Circle Live girls who don't know her that well, who are not gonna call her out on her bullshit because when she's wrong and when she's right. So I do agree with that. And she's gonna sit there and talk about no, that's not it, because they played a clip of Simone on Watch What Happens Live and Toya on Watch What Happens Live, and when Simone said what she said, Quad said that was a whole lie. Bullshit, Quad. You know that's the truth. Like, you can't sit here and tell me you're gonna sit here and film with the Sister Circle Live girls on your show Married to Medicine, but you're not gonna film with your friends on this show who you've known a lot longer than you've known Selena Johnson and Rashawn Ali and that girl Kiana Dancy, who's no longer on the show, who was replaced by Trina Braxton. Like, fuck out of here, Quad. You know you full of shit. Like, be for real. Like, those girls are not gonna call you out because they don't know you that well to call you out on anything. And if you want me to be honest with you, I think the relationships between those girls on Sister Circle Live is fake as fuck. I do not believe you can't tell me that those relationships are real, because when you look at the interactions with them, it just seems so forced and shit like that. So, that's why I think that Simone and the rest of the girls on Married to Medicine are correct about the Sister Circle Live girls. Whatever Quad says, if Quad believes with the bullshit that comes out of her mouth, she believes it. But I think everybody else can see it's complete bullshit. All right, so then I'm going to get this one scene out of the way that I did not really care too much for, and it was Toya. So, Toya and Eugene, they're taking their boys to look at the house that they are having built. And I'm like, I get what they're doing, but I don't get why they are doing it. Like, there's nothing to look at besides a structure that's just been built. And then they don't know where the bedrooms are. Eugene is telling the kids that their bedroom is going to be right above their bedrooms. And Toya's like, no, their bedroom is not going to be above ours. It's going to be over there. Because, I like when we like to have sex and all that kind of stuff, I like to get loud. I'm like, Toya, TMI. Nobody wants to hear that. And, now see, here's the thing that caught me when Toya and Eugene were talking to their sons, because what it is when they move there, they're going to have to switch schools and all that kind of stuff. And I get that they want a forever home, but you also have to take into accountability what's best for your kids and all that kind of stuff. And I kind of wonder if they actually sat down and had a conversation with the kids about moving, because in this scene you can clearly tell that they probably didn't, because when they told the kids that they were going to have to switch schools, the kids were like, no, I don't want to move schools, because if I move schools, I'm going to have to leave my friends at that school. And I know exactly how that is, because when I was a kid, my mom and I, when we moved back to Texas from Michigan, we stayed with my grandmother for a few years. And, when I started school, I had my little friends in my school. But then when we moved out of my grandmother's house into our own home, which really wasn't that far away from where my grandmother lived, but based on the school districts and all that kind of stuff, I had to move schools. And actually, I was the reason why I had to move schools, because I have a big ass mouth. I think I was talking, I know how it happened, because what happened was, even when my mom and I moved to our home, we were still using my grandmother's address for me to go to school, where I was going to school at. But my principal overheard me talking to one of my cousins, asking her, were they going to come over to our house to go to the fair and all that kind of stuff. And my principal was like, where do you live at? And my dumb ass told her where we lived at, and that forced me to have to move to another school. And I'm like, I was like, I don't want to move schools, because I've been going to school here since kindergarten. I have my friends here, and I was in the second grade at the time. I'm like, I have my friends here. Like, I don't want to go anywhere. And literally, they let me finish that school year. But my third grade year, I had to go to another school, and I'm like, I don't know anybody here, and I felt completely out of place. So I get where their kids is coming from. Like, you don't want to uproot the kids, and they have friends there, and then they have to go to another school. And then if they're not, the type of kids who make friends easily, they're gonna feel, like outcasts and outsiders. So I just wonder if Toya and Eugene actually sat and thought about what kind of effect did this have on they boys that, when they made this decision to have this house built. All right, and then we're gonna move over to Simone. So Simone is at the North House, and her son Miles is home for the summer. This is from his first year of college and all that kind of stuff. So then Cecil is talking to Simone, and basically Cecil tells Simone that since Miles is home for the summer, why don't we all just stay in the North House as a family, but we keep the South House, which I still don't understand why the hell they keep that house, but if it works for them, it works for them. And I know somebody in my comments, if when I talked about it in a few episodes ago about the traffic in Atlanta. I get it. Traffic in Atlanta is bad, just like the traffic in Dallas is bad. But you can find somewhere that is central to both places, because there are places here in Dallas that you can find that are central. I mean, you still gonna have to deal with the traffic, but you find you can find alternate routes around here in Dallas, and I'm pretty sure you can find alternate routes in Atlanta as well. Like I said, I know the traffic in Atlanta is bad. It's just as horrible as the traffic here in Dallas, because from my apartment to my job it takes 25 minutes to get there. But in the afternoon when I get off of work, if I come 635, which is one of our busiest highways here in Dallas, if I come that way to go home, it takes me at least 45 minutes to an hour just to get home from my job, which is 25 minutes away from my apartment. So I absolutely get it. And Cecil says to keep the South House because of summer basketball and all that kind of stuff. And then Simone is actually, I hate to say it, she's been selfish about this North House and South House thing, because basically when Cecil said moving from the South House to the North House, Simone's argument was because she's been able to live by herself for 9 months. She's had peace, her house is clean and all that kind of stuff. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, implement some rules. So I'm like, if you do this, if you basically when it comes to the kitchen and all that kind of stuff, like shit, if you use it, you clean it and all that kind of stuff. Just clean up after whatever you do. That's all you got to sit there and say. And then Cecil said something, and she wants to bring up about how Cecil has been going out with the guys and all that kind of stuff and posting pictures. But then I like how Michael called Simone out on her shit too. And Michael is smart beyond his years, because when he said that, well, so what, he post pictures in here in Atlanta, but you post pictures with the girls and y'all are outside of Atlanta and all that kind of stuff. And someone was like, touche. Like, so, and Michael basically told him, I don't know what you arguing about, because you do the same thing that he does, but you just go out of town and do what you do. And I really did like the fact that Michael called Simone on that. Like, I love that. All right, and next we'll move over to Dr. Jackie. So Dr. Jackie is cleaning up the house. She's back from Miami and all that kind of stuff. And, she's telling us, Curtis how it was a good trip and all that kind of stuff. And, basically she's telling Curtis how, she see how Heavenly was brought up in a black home, kind of a typical black home with some, when you have the one kid and they have the crazy rules and all that kind of stuff. And, Cecil's talking about his family, how I don't forgot how many kids it is in his family. Didn't really care, to be honest with you. And, basically, all really happened with Jack and Curtis was she asked Curtis, what did he do while she was gone? And I would have asked him that same question too. Like, shit, did you fuck a bitch? Did you do this? What did you do? I just need to know what you did while I was gone. So basically he tells her, I guess, that the realtor that they have sent him some listings. He only checked out one of the listings, and he didn't feel like the listing was a good fit for them. So, he didn't tell her, I guess he didn't really feel the need to tell her too much about it. And basically Jackie wants to move out of the house because of the bad memories there. And I get where Jackie is coming from, but it's not the house that has the memories. But I like I said, I get what she wants to do. She wants to leave that house behind so that way they can start over fresh and clean and all that kind of stuff. Wait, but did Curtis cheat on her in the house with that woman? Like, that's where I'm missing, drawing a blank at. But like I said, I definitely get where Jackie is coming from with that one. You want new memories and you want to start fresh with them. So why stay in the same house where where your marriage almost fell apart and disintegrated? Go somewhere new, fresh start, and all that kind of stuff. So I get it. All right, and then we got Dr. Heavenly. She is back, and Dr. Damon is working on the music. And so she goes down there where Dr. Damon is. he asked her about her trip and all that kind of stuff. And basically, she tells him, I had a good time and all that kind of stuff. And how she went to her old neighborhood and all that kind of stuff. And how she, when she went to her sister's room and touched the door, that's when all the memories came flooding back to her about her dad and all that kind of stuff. And, she said that she never, I guess, before that time, before going to that house and all that kind of stuff, she never had really just thought too much deeply about her dad and all that kind of stuff. And, Dr. Dane was telling her, maybe that's because you never really dealt with that kind of stuff and all that kind of stuff. And I agree with that. I think maybe what happened with Heavenly, because like she said last week's episode, she went to the funeral and after that she never went back. So basically what happened is Heavenly suppressed those feelings and all that kind of stuff. And for however many years it's been, Heavenly never really felt the need to open up and talk about it and, just put it out there for, anybody to hear. It doesn't have to be, Simone or Jack. It just could have been anybody. And I actually am glad that Heavenly did that because, like I said last week, it showed a different side. It showed us who, how Heavenly was brought up, and it explained some of the things that she does and why she does it. I'm not giving her a pass for what she does, but it explained it a whole lot. And I'm like, okay, now I understand Heavenly, and I really do understand her at this point. Like I said, still not giving her a pass for the shit that she does because you're a grown ass woman that do stupid shit like a kid. So Dr. Damon is proud of her, and I'm actually proud of Heavenly as well. When it comes down to Heavenly, when she comes talking about going on this new path and all that kind of stuff, I don't know how much I believe it, but everybody is a work in progress, and so is Heavenly. All right, so now we have Dr. Contessa. So, Dr. Contessa, in last week's episode, she went into surgery. And this week's episode, she went through surgery. It was a success, and now she's about to head home and all that kind of stuff. So when Contessa gets home, she gets into bed and all that kind of stuff. And then the kids come in there to see her and all that kind of stuff. My heart went out to her when those kids hopped in that bed with her, especially that baby. When the baby hopped in the bed with her and she was just sitting there like in pain. I'm like, oh my God, like I can't imagine how that feels to be in pain, but your kids want to love all on you and all that kind of stuff. And I actually think I did that once before with my mother. Like, I knew she was in pain, but I'm like, I want to love on you, and I know you hurting, but let me love on you and all that kind of stuff. So I did feel her pain, especially when the little girl got on her boobs and all that kind of stuff. I'm like, oh shit, like I know her boobs hurt like a motherfucker, but you don't want to, she kept telling the little girl to move over here, and the little boy, like, God. And then one of her I think it was her oldest daughter, she came in there and they were talking, and her daughter asked her what she had to do. And I'm like, God, like, how do you answer that question to your daughter? Like, that's got to be a hard question to answer. And, I saw some comments last week on Twitter about Dr. Contessa doing this, it's elective, and she's just trying to get attention and all that kind of stuff in a storyline. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, who would do something like this for attention? Like, she got a double mastectomy. Like, what? And, I don't agree with that because here's the thing. Her mother had breast cancer. Like, if she wants to reduce her risks of having that shit, like, I don't see why. Like, why would you sit here and keep breast tissue in your body when you know you have a high percentage of getting breast cancer? Like, this stupid as hell. Like, why would you sit there and keep that shit in your chest knowing that there's a possibility that you can get sick and possibly die from it? Like, who wants that? So kudos to Contessa for doing that. All right, so then we have 2 days later after the surgery, I think Contessa was doing too much in this scene when she's trying to get the fruit together for Mariah and Dr. Jared when they came over there and all that kind of stuff. And, they basically, they're over there just to check on Contessa and see what happened and all that kind of stuff. And she tells them that she didn't tell anybody, not even her brother and sister, until after the surgery was over, when she texted everybody. And I'm going to get into that a little bit later. I'm going to get into that in a few minutes about the text messages and all that kind of stuff. And, she does tell them, they asked about her children. Did she tell them? And she said no, she didn't really tell them very much. And I agree with her not telling her kids as much as, she probably could have, because they are young kids, and some of them, their young brains might not understand exactly what she's talking about. So I think it is better that she doesn't tell them the full extent of what she actually did, and just keep some of, just tell them, hey, mommy had surgery, but, it's nothing to worry about. And, At a certain point in time, I will, let you guys know what's going on. But right now, I think it's best that you don't know too much. So I agree with that. So, what happened with the surgery was the doctors took the breast tissue out and put implants. They did a little incision, took the breast tissue out, and they put implants in her breast and all that kind of stuff. So then she asked Mariah, does she have sensitivity in her nipples and all that kind of stuff? And Mariah said, absolutely, 100% sensitivity. And then, Dr. Jared is telling them how her house is, she's in her house, and now she's going to have a housewarming party. So that's where we want to next, is Dr. Jared's housewarming party. And I'm going to talk about two people who really pissed me off in this episode at this housewarming party. All right, so we are at Dr. Jared's housewarming party. We had Cecil and Simone there. We're getting ready for the party. And we got all the girls there. Dr. Jared invited all the girls, including Quad herself. And, when I was looking at Dr. Aiden, if anybody out there watches General Hospital, I'm not saying that he looks like him, but he with that slick back hair, he gives me Maurice Bernard vibes, a.k.a. Sonny Corinthos, if you watch General Hospital. Just kind of look at him when he had that slick back hair. He kind of just puts you in the mind of Maurice Bernard, just a tad bit, not a lot. So, like I said, all the girls are there, and Quad does show up. Now, this is where Quad pissed me off the first time in this party. So when she got there, Toya was like, "Oh, this is our second time seeing you in 2 months," and she was like, "Calm down, Toya." I'm like, "Calm down for what?" Like, the bitch is saying she happy to see you, and you sitting there telling her, "Calm down," like. And then, Mariah and Toya was not Mariah and Toya, but Mariah and Simone were talking about it, how it was condescending, which it really was. Toya said nothing wrong to you, and you gonna sit here and tell this bitch to calm down. Like, what? Quad got on my nerves. And then you got Jackie and Toya over there talking, and Toya talking about how it was fucking uncomfortable to her, which I understand, Toya. Like, shit. All I'm saying is I haven't saw you. This is good to see you. Even if it is the second time in a month, like, that's all Toya was saying, was it's just good to see you. And, Heavenly shows up as well. And, she asked everybody how is Contessa, has anybody talked to Contessa? And, Mariah says yes, and Dr. Jared says yes, and I think Jackie said yes as well. That's what it was. So Toya gets in her fucking feelings, and I'm like, Toya, I was just taking up for you with Quad. Now I got to jump on your ass because, she's talking about, we're not real friends because she didn't text me and tell me that, she was having surgery. She didn't text any of the girls and tell them she was having surgery. Like, what the fuck you want her to do? You want her to text you and tell you everything she's doing? Oh, Toya, I'm taking the shit. Oh, Toya, I'm taking the piss. Oh, Toya, I'm getting fucked by Dr. Scott. Oh, Toya, I'm doing this and this and that. Oh, Toya, I'm cooking my kids breakfast. Like, fuck out of here, Toya. Like, what the fuck? You want her to tell you every fucking thing she's doing? Like, first of all, y'all not even on good terms right now, because the last time y'all were with each other, you called her a bitch and she was about to leave that restaurant, but you ended up leaving. Like, shut the fuck up, Toya. Like, really, please do me that favor. All right, and then we have, Heavenly and Simone. They go outside with where the men are, and Simone is basically telling Heavenly to, tell Cecil the conversation that they had in Miami and all that kind of stuff. So basically what the conversation was Simone, not Simone, but Heavenly told Simone that, men need two things. The second one, sex. And the first one was honor and respect. I agree with that to an extent. The honor and respect, it goes both ways. It's not just the man that needs honor and respect, it's the woman as well. Like, it has to be a mutual honor and respect on both parties. So that's why I agree, disagree. And Curtis was the same way. He agrees, but he disagrees with what she was saying and all that kind of stuff. Now, it could have been me or anybody else who saw this. The editing at this party was so fucking off. Like that scene where you have Mariah and Dr. Jared when they were when that man was singing a song and all that kind of stuff. If you looked in the background, it was light as day out there. It was daylight outside. But the rest of the scenes were at night. I'm like, how long were they filming this fucking party? Like, damn. They went from sun up to sundown, literally, with this party. So then you got Quad. She's talking to Dr. Jack and all that kind of stuff. And, she says, I guess it looked like you and Curtis are in a good place and all that kind of stuff. And Dr. Jack, she said, yeah, says the experience was humbling for them. And then, for them to come back to each other and all that kind of stuff, come back fighting and all that kind of stuff. And then Quad is like, when it comes down to Dr. Jackie and Simone, she feels like they have something to work with and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, that would make sense because you not trying to work with Dr. G at all. Like, I get it, he hurt you, he was with this woman, but if you really wanted to save your marriage, you would have done so. Like, nothing, like, even if you cheated on me, it's going to take me a long time to forgive you, and I'm not going to ever forget what you did. But I feel like when it comes down to Quad, she just wants to place blame on him solely. And like I said earlier, I feel like that was a way for Quad to get out of this marriage with Dr. G. She was just looking for a way out. If you feel like I'm wrong, tell me that. But that's how I feel. I feel like Quad was looking for a way out the whole time. Because then she's talking about how challenging it is. It's only challenging because you're not trying to put in any work. Honestly, when it comes down to Quad and Dr. G, I don't know who the hell to believe because they both say the same thing. And I don't know. I just can't put my finger on who I believe more. So then we have Dr. Scott there. And, Toya is asking about contestant. I'm like, shut the fuck up. I want Toya to either get a job, get a hobby, knit, do whatever you gotta do because you have too much idle time on your hands to sit here and worry about what these people are doing in their lives. Like, get a job, part-time, full-time, knit, do whatever. Like, carpool, whatever. I don't give a shit. But you got too much idle time on your hand. And Dr. Scott tells Toya that his sister's at home with contestant and all that kind of stuff. Now, this part right here kind of got me because all the men were out there with the ladies at the same time. And Dr. Aiden is in here asking where's Gregory at. And Mariah's like, shh, Aiden, stop asking that question. Stop. And I was so here for Mariah. Like, Aiden, you are making this seem uncomfortable. Like, you are aware that they are going through marital issues. And you're going to still sit here and ask where this man is when they're not in a good space with each other. So, and then Toya says, well, Quad has her ring on, so that looked like a good sign. And the look that Quad gave to Toya, I'm like, but you do have your ring on. Why are you giving this girl this stank eye like she wrong? Like, if you feel like you are in a bad place with him, why the fuck are you still wearing this wedding ring? Like, it makes no sense. It's making people think, oh, she got her wedding ring on. They in a good spot. And you can be like, nah, like, if you take the wedding ring off, that lets people know y'all not in a good spot. Like, I really don't understand her. Like, what? Like, I was confused, just looking at her like that. Like, get over yourself. Like, I'm over this pity party that Quad wants to put on. Like, she gets on my nerves with this pity party, this woe is me bullshit. So, then the men split up and they tell Aiden that he was wrong for asking that, although for Aiden it was a simple question, it wasn't no simple question. It was an easy question not to fucking ask. They always say there's no such thing as a dumb question, but that was a dumbass question to ask. So then the girls are still outside and they are talking about the disconnect between Toya and, not Toya, but Quad and the girls and all that kind of stuff. And Toya basically says that, that Quad don't have to tell them everything, but at least to let them know a little bit about what's going on in her life. And Quad, like, she was really working my nerves. Like, she just sitting there looking all dumbfounded and shit like that. I'm like, why? Like, if you don't want to film with these girls, leave the show. It's that easy. No, but it wouldn't be that easy because you wouldn't have that paycheck anymore. Like, if you don't want to film with these girls, if you don't want to talk about what's going on in your life, leave the motherfucking show. And then she wanted to sit and talk about how she was protecting her husband and all that kind of stuff, and how other things she's had to deal with because she's the rock in her family and all that kind of stuff. And Mariah was like, "Whoa, pump your brakes because we are all the rocks in our families. That's why we all bonded and all that kind of stuff." And then she's trying to tell Mariah that Mariah is basically telling Quad that everything is about her. Now in this scene, it kind of was about her because the girls did bring up some stuff with her. So I kind of am on, nope, I'm not going to say I'm on Quad's side. I understood where she was coming from. This conversation was about her. So for Mariah to say that, she was making everything about her, it kind of was. Hate to say it, but it was. And then, Mariah asked Heavenly how she felt. I'm like, why would you ask Heavenly how she feels? But Heavenly says that, I'm going to backtrack just a little bit because, I didn't think Mariah was yelling when Quad was telling her to stop yelling. All I could hear was Quad yelling, I'm like, Quiet, you the one that's yelling, not Mariah. But Heavenly is basically telling Quiet that, she felt like maybe she should open up to the group and all that kind of stuff. And, basically talking about how Miami trip and all that kind of stuff, how it helped her learn more about Simone and Jack and all that kind of stuff, and how she has a different understanding of herself and them at the same time. But that was Married to Medicine. Like the video, leave your comments, and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys a little bit later.